Hello everyone and welcome back to Sword and Sorcery Reviews. Today we will be breaking down Percy Jackson Season 2, Episode 7, I Go Down with the Ship. This title is taken straight from Chapter 16 of the Sea of Monsters book. This episode starts off with a dream that Annabeth has about Thalia's death and sacrifice. This dream holds a big and controversial plot point in my eyes that we will get to later as it progresses in the episode. We get introduced to a new character named Aiden, who is a son of Aphrodite and a member of Luke's crew aboard the Princess Andromeda. He gets captured by Percy, Tyson, Clarice, and Grover, and again, Percy and Clarice disagree about what to do. Percy wanting to go and save Annabeth, and Clarice wanting to go after the fleece. Percy shuts Clarice down and is really mean in this part, and I agree with Clarice. She's trying to do the right thing. This is her quest, this is her prophecy, and this is just Percy's fatal flaw getting in the way of everything right now. Aboard the Princess Andromeda, Percy has a nice conversation with Blackjack as he frees him. Remember, Percy can speak to horses. I know people who are only watching the series have not seen this yet, but this is the first time that Percy has actually spoken to a horse, and I think it's a good moment. I want to talk about the character development with the demigods in Luke's crew aboard the Andromeda. I think it's interesting to see the dynamic between them with the Mythomagic game, with Aiden's card that he left behind, with the demigods playing Mythomagic. I like the dynamic between them. It really makes you think, like, would life be good aboard the Princess Andromeda? Annabeth and Luke have a good conversation when Annabeth is tied up aboard the ship, with Annabeth trying to convince Luke again to come back to the good side, to go away from Kronos. Luke again refuses, just showing how far he has come on the path of evil with Kronos. I also want to talk about the plot point with Annabeth's knife. Now remember, Luke actually gave Annabeth this knife when he, her, and Thalia were on the run. And last episode, while on Polyphemus' island, Luke took the knife while capturing Annabeth and taking her to the Princess Andromeda. This knife comes up really big in later books, and I really would have liked to see something big happen here with it, considering that Luke took it and it was like a standalone item that he took. I really think it would have been cool to see something big with the knife go down, considering how important it is coming up in later books. So I think it was a disappointing ending to that plot point for me. Grover and Tyson have a really funny side quest where they're trying to get to camp and they have not figured out a ride yet, and Tyson suggests that Percy should drive, and immediately Grover says, no, that's a bad idea. Flashbacking to last season in episode 6 when Percy tries to drive away from the Lotus Hotel and Casino in Hermes' car, and it does not go well. Percy was not a good driver. He runs into many cars. And I think a lot of the lines in this scene are really funny. When Tyson says maybe they should call on someone stronger and wiser, and Grover's like, yeah, you don't mean. And I was like, well, they're gonna call on someone powerful and godly and stuff, and then they call on Sally Jackson, who is a mortal. Now remember, Tyson is a Cyclops and Grover is a Satyr. Sally Jackson is just a mortal. She doesn't have any powers except for seeing through the mist and seeing things that are actually going on in the Greek world. But Sally doesn't really have any powers, and I think it's really funny when Tyson, who is the Cyclops, says that they should call on someone stronger and wiser, and they call on Sally Jackson. Back to the Princess Andromeda, we go to Allison Sims, who has really big character development, especially in this episode. Allison Sims was not a character from the book, and I really like this addition in the show. I think she has been a great addition. She has great character development in this episode, and I think what's surprising me most here is how she got orders directly from Kronos. She is Luke's second in command, but in the book it was really just Luke taking orders from Kronos, but Allison really goes forward. She is determined. She is ready to speak to Kronos, and I will make the argument, hot take, that she is the most loyal villain to Kronos so far in the series. Like right now, Luke is a really vulnerable character, having this conversation at the same time that Allison is doing this with Annabeth. And speaking of Annabeth, Allison gets the orders from Kronos directly to go and kill her. Luke and Annabeth finish up their conversation, and Annabeth tells Luke that about her dream, about how she had the vision of the dream that she had about Thalia. And she tells Luke that if the fleece is put back on the tree, then Thalia might come back. And Luke is really surprised because, again, Kronos did not tell him this, and he's stunned by what Kronos did not tell him. And let's talk about this plot point now. This is the dream plot point that I was telling you guys about earlier. I do not like this plot point because in the book there was a really big twist at the end that revealed that Thalia coming back from the dead with the fleece on the tree was Kronos' main idea. This is what Kronos was hoping for. This is what Kronos wanted. He framed Percy. He even framed Luke. I mean, Luke didn't really know anything about this either, but Kronos had Thalia come back, and I think the fact that they know that Thalia will come back if the fleece is put on the tree, really undermines what Kronos can do and how smart Kronos is. After that conversation, Luke leaves and Annabeth follows him because Annabeth is really worried about him. Next, we have Percy, who goes and eavesdrops on Annabeth's conversation with Luke. Then he leaves with the invisibility cap on and goes after the fleece. And at the same time, we have Clarice eavesdropping on Allison Sims, telling her warriors that they are going to go after Annabeth and kill her. And the dynamic has shifted. Percy is going after the fleece, and Clarice is going after Annabeth to save her. Percy goes into the suite where the fleece is on the sarcophagus where Kronos is, and he goes to Kronos and he actually speaks to Kronos, and during this conversation Kronos mentions the great prophecy, and he actually tells Percy about this prophecy. And this is another change from the book that I do not like, because the great prophecy was not mentioned until the last book of the series, where Percy finds out what the prophecy is. But now Percy knows what this prophecy is, and he doesn't really care when he hears it. Like, after Kronos says the last line, Percy immediately is like, okay, I've decided. He goes forward and he just pulls the fleece off and turns to see Luke in the doorway. And after Luke was done with the conversation with Annabeth, he came to the suite to talk to Kronos, and he found Percy there. But Clarice came after the warriors who were going after Annabeth, and there are parallel sword fights going on right now with Luke fighting Percy and Clarice fighting the warriors. Now let's go to the Clarice fight. So Clarice comes and they've cornered Annabeth. And Clarice comes up behind the Laestrygonian who is with them, and she stabs him in the back and kills him. And then she turns and she says this really good Clarice line, 5 against 1, my kind of odds. And I think it shows that they're still adding book Clarice in, even though they've humanized her in this show, which I really love, but they still have book Clarice in there. They still have her great lines. And there's parallel sword fighting going on. Luke is fighting Percy, and Clarice is fighting the warriors. Luke is fighting Percy, and the fight travels out into the hallway between the suite and the elevator. Percy has the fleece. He's running for the elevator, gets in, and the doors start closing. Luke thrusts his sword in and stabs Percy in the stomach. And next, Percy will heal himself with the fleece. And I also think this is a bad change because he gets healed too quickly, I think. He gets in the elevator's dropping, and then he just grabs the fleece and puts it on him 2 seconds after the the sword actually struck Percy. And I really don't like this, just because the change happened so fast that it didn't make a difference in the series. It's just that Percy got the fleece and he's now running away from Luke. And Clarice and Annabeth are fighting the warriors, and they beat the warriors. And Clarice and Annabeth actually have some really good character development, with Clarice going after Annabeth and saving her life, even though Clarice was supposed to be going after the fleece. And it's really nice, and Clarice is saying that it's no problem that she's going after and saving her, and Annabeth's like, yeah, thanks, and stuff like that. And Percy, who heals himself with the fleece, he gets off the elevator and with Annabeth and Clarice, and they start hearing alarms. And it's really funny because Clarice is like, it doesn't matter, that it might not be that he has the fleece. It might not be that he has the fleece. Like, she doesn't want to believe that he has the fleece because she doesn't think he's very powerful. Like, it's just, like, the rivalry between them is really funny. But Percy does have the fleece, and they meet up together, and some warriors corner them, and before this fight happens, Blackjack swoops down, grabs two, and throws him over the side. And this is a moment that I really love. Blackjack gets his moment here, and he shines, and the warriors flee. I love Blackjack. He's the GOAT. He's great. And Percy and Clarice have really nice character development. Percy apologizes. He redeems himself with Clarice. He says that he was wrong about the prophecy. And I also want to comment on the great soundtrack. When Percy comes up and apologizes to Clarice and the talk, Bear McCreary really hit with this soundtrack. He's done a great job with this show, and I think you all should listen to the soundtrack for the show if you haven't already. But anyway, Percy says that Clarice should ride on Blackjack to go back to camp and put the fleece on the tree immediately. So she does that. She goes on Blackjack and flies away. And as she starts going, she says, "Thanks, Percy." And if you haven't noticed already, she always calls him Jackson. And this is the first time that she's called him Percy, which I think is a nice moment. After this, we have Percy and Annabeth catching up to Grover, Tyson, and Sally. And guess what? They're in a Toyota Prius. This is Paul Blofus's car. And again, Paul Blofus is the person that Sally Jackson marries. That will happen in a few books. But this is Paul Blofus's Toyota Prius. And it actually has the sticker that is on Paul's car. And Percy and Annabeth get in and they drive off and they talk, and Annabeth and Grover are really excited about seeing Thalia, and this is a really, really disappointing ending for me to the plot point, just because, Annabeth, the question she asks is like, not what will happen when the fleece is put on the tree, it is how long will it take for Thalia to come back, which I really don't like that. But the last part of this episode is Luke going into the room, and he is being punished by Kronos, and he steals himself, and Kronos tells him, join your forces, you will burn the camp to the ground, you will not fail me. And Luke is ready. Luke is now committed to Kronos. Final thoughts on this episode. I hope you guys really liked it. Join me in the comments. Hopefully you guys have opinions and thoughts on this. I definitely want to hear them. But final thoughts, just a look back. Where is the sea monster that Grover got caught with? There was a tentacle. Remember, Grover got caught with that tentacle and was grabbed and brought to Polyphemus' island. What is that sea monster? There was no extra development with it. It was kind of disappointing ending to that arc. Another thing, there are no monsters other than Laestrygonians on the Princess Andromeda. I really would have liked to see Dracine and Aureus, the bear guys. I really would have liked to see the other monsters on the Princess Andromeda with Luke that were in the book. Highlights and lowlights with the series. I think this episode dipped up and down. Lowlights, the Great Prophecy came too early. The knife plot point, Thalia plot point. Highlights of this episode, the sword fighting was great, character development was great, Allison was great, Luke was great, all the actors have been great in this season. So overall, I'm going to give this episode an 8 out of 10. I hope you guys agree with this ratings. Join me in the comments. I hope you guys have opinions. Share them. Please like and subscribe. And that's all I have for you guys today. And I will see you next time.